The pounding bass shook the walls of the little suburban house, laughter spilling into the warm summer air. It was supposed to be a night of joy, a rare escape for Emily Parker, a hard-working nurse who'd just finished her last shift before finally taking a break. But as the crowd of friends cheered, dancing barefoot in her backyard, flashing lights appeared down the street, red and blue, slicing through the night. The music cut abruptly and silence fell like a curtain. Her heart dropped. She could already imagine the neighbors peeking through blinds, shaking their heads. Someone had called the police. Emily ran to the porch, wiping her hands nervously on her jeans. She wasn't a troublemaker, she never had been. She was the type who baked cookies for her elderly neighbor, who mowed her lawn twice a week just to keep things tidy. Life had been harsh enough lately. The breakup, the long hours at the hospital, the loneliness that crept in once the noise of daily life faded. This party had been her way to feel alive again, surrounded by laughter she hadn't heard in months. And now it felt like that small spark of happiness was about to be extinguished. The neighborhood wasn't unkind, but it was quiet. The type of place where people nodded but didn't really know each other. Mrs. Wilkins next door always complained about noise. Across the street, the Millers barely waved. The hum of sprinklers and distant dogs barking were the soundtrack of everyday life here. Emily had grown used to the silence, to being the invisible neighbor. She didn't blame them. People stayed in their bubbles, and she had hers too. The officer stepped out of the car, tall, broad-shouldered, his flashlight sweeping over the fence before landing on her. "Ma'am," he said sternly, "we got a call about a noise complaint." Emily's stomach twisted. She fumbled for words, her cheeks hot with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry, officer. We were just celebrating. I didn't mean to disturb anyone." Her voice trembled slightly, hoping the apology would be enough. The officer lowered the light, his tone softening. "Emily?" he said, squinting through the dim light. She froze. That voice, familiar, almost buried in time. "Is that Mark Reynolds?" she whispered. He smiled, the kind that carried years of history. Mark Reynolds. Her childhood best friend, the boy who used to race her bikes down Maple Street, who moved away after high school when his father got a new job. She hadn't seen him in over a decade, and here he was standing in uniform, looking like a ghost from a chapter she'd long closed. The laughter in the background faded as recognition dawned. "You're kidding me," she said, a laugh breaking through the shock. "You're the cop who came to shut me down?" He chuckled, shaking his head. "Looks like I picked the wrong house to answer a call." The tension melted instantly. Emily's friends peeked out from behind the door, whispering and giggling as the officer who had arrived as a threat now stood smiling like an old friend. They started talking, first about the party, then about life. Mark told her about joining the force after the army, about losing his mom 2 years ago. Emily shared stories from the hospital, the exhaustion, the heartbreak she saw daily. Somewhere between the sirens and the stars, they found the comfort of shared memory, of two lives that had once run parallel, now crossing again in the strangest way. He ended up staying a while, not as an officer but as Mark, the kid who used to bring her popsicles when she fell off her bike, who told her once that she'd do something great one day. They laughed until the tension in her chest dissolved. Eventually, the neighbors peeked out, seeing not a scene of rebellion but one of reunion. "Guess the call was a blessing," Emily said softly, and Mark nodded. Sometimes life just finds a way to bring the right people back. By the time the music came back on, this time quieter, slower, glowing with warmth instead of noise, the red and blue lights had faded from the street. Mark stayed to help clean up, tossing cups into a trash bag while teasing her about her terrible taste in music. As he left, he paused at the gate, looking back at her with a smile that said something words couldn't. "Don't let them dim your light again, and you deserve nights like this." When the house finally emptied, she stood alone on the porch, the air cool and calm now. The stars shimmered above, and for the first time in a long while, Emily felt seen. The call that was meant to silence her joy had instead reignited something long lost. A friendship, maybe even the beginning of something more. She whispered to herself with a small smile. Sometimes, the people meant to stop the noise bring back the music. And that's how a noise complaint turned into a night of reconnection, laughter, and something even rarer, hope. Because life has a funny way of reminding us, when we think everything's falling apart, it might just be falling into place.